Good morning. My name is Ruben Osorio. I'd like to welcome you to our stakeholders to and the public to the Enforcement Committee meeting. Our purpose here today is to explore the enforcement of Acupuncture Act for the protection of the public. We invite you to share your knowledge and questions as we address the agendized items. I will be asking our executive officer to keep our 4-minute time limit on comments, but not individuals. But individuals are welcome to provide additional pertinent comments after have had turn. Okay, so let's move on to the first item. Roll call, Ms. Brothers, please.
Ruben Osorio,
Here.
Dr. Yangping Chen. We are all present.
Chair Osorio, I believe our first item for today's session will be discussion and possible action for the upcoming Consumer's Guide on updating, the Consumer's Guide to Acupuncture brochure. What you have included in the public packet, and as a note to the public, this item was not included in the original packet. It most likely will be updated today in the materials. And you will see it in the WebEx session presented as a shared screen. For today, it will be posted shortly, and there should be public physical copies available in the back of the room. What we are looking at here is an edited version of what has been released in the past. I've worked with legal counsel and this committee primarily to keep the text that is appropriate to the role and function of the board. We definitely want to share and inform our consumers of this practice as it pertains to their protection. And we want to focus this communication on what a consumer can do in seeking treatment and in the, however as much we don't want it to happen in the situation where there are violations of the Enforcement Act. We want a consumer to know their rights and their ability for recourse should unfavorable events happen. And we want to be very transparent about that. Are there any questions or comments from the committee on the items here? I know that at the previous meeting, the president of CalAtma did provide the board members a brochure that was published possibly 20 years ago. And there was an updated version that happened approximately 10 years ago as well. And what you see here is the most current version, as you note the watermark for draft, where we just really tried to focus on initial expectations and consumer protection and recourses for violations. I will turn to you, Chair, if you have any questions on this, or do you feel that this is addressing from a consumer's perspective? Again, we want to keep it in the consumer's perspective.
Yeah, I think it is, and the purpose that we had was to do that, the consumer, but as well as the stakeholders, I think will be beneficiaries of this. So yeah, I don't have any more questions on that.
Thank you, Chair. Member John?
Thank you, Chair, Mr. Osorio, and thank you, EO Padilla. I know you did a great job and spent a lot of time, did a lot of research and consult with the legal Brennan to have this after several versions and have this final to present here today. So for me, I think this the brochure was there 20 years ago. And as my practice, start practice 20 years ago, read this brochure, I think is very helpful for me to share with my patients, give them the information. This profession is new to this country, to California. This year will be 50 years anniversary of the acupuncture legalized in California. So 50 years young, and how much consumer, they understand that what is acupuncture, what does acupuncturist do, what does the license allow them to do, what's the authority, what they cannot do, and then what, who is qualified to practice acupuncture legally. I think this question still in a lot of the consumer mind. Even people already have acupuncture, they still have a lot of confusion. So I think for government work transparency, for protect public safety purpose, prevent illegal practice or malpractice. So consumer has the right to know what is right, what is wrong. So therefore, I think this brochure will be very helpful for the purpose of public protection. So I would like to hear more from the profession to see, because it's 20 years ago and so many things changed. And acupuncture is part of the healthcare system, and all the healthcare different professions are evolving, advanced, and we want to see if we have anything we can update in this brochure. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Chen. Yeah, this is definitely a delicate balance between providing information for the consumer, and what we're trying to be careful about is advocating for the profession here. And we definitely encourage the profession to develop their own brochure of what an acupuncturist can expect, what kind of treatments are offered. Some that are familiar with the brochure of yore may see that there was a number of items removed specifically because it was treading in domains that is beyond the board's authority. Again, there's possible compromises that we can look at in terms of what can be shared, but it's best to start from this point and see what can be added further. And the committee has informed me that they are calling on our stakeholders to really step forward. We appreciate the individuals that have shown up here in person, as well as the individuals that are on our WebEx session remotely. And we, with the chair's blessing, open up for public comments. And
Yes, anybody that has got a comment, please go ahead.
we'll start with the room.
Good morning, members of the committee, the board. My name is Neil Miller, representing California Acupuncture Traditional Medical Association. As you're maybe familiar, that I worked on those previous consumer guides, and we did a whole lot of work. And right now, there seems to be some feeling like we're going beyond what is in our purview. And I'd like to know very specifically what was pointed out that is beyond, because we worked very hard on this and we worked with legal, and it's been the precedent and what's been in the public domain for a long time. So I applaud the effort. You know, I've been trying to get this re-upped for over 10 years. But there's a few problems with this, and I hope you don't approve it today because it needs a little bit more work. I'll just throw a few things at it since I just read it now. But I don't know where you say needles are 1/2 inch to 3 inch, because we use bigger needles. And to put that in the mind of the public, and if they walk in and see a 5-inch needle, there's a problem. So this is just a brief overview of looking at this. And there are a number of things that are in the previous brochures that I would specifically like to address that are being removed. I'd like to know why. I'd like to know at whose direction and what is the logic there, and that there should be some discussion. So I am requesting a follow-up and maybe a committee meeting to work on this, rather than just take this. Let's do a very intelligent walkthrough of what was there before, why it's not there now, so that we can inform the public that there are things in there that we're not supposed to do, or because there's not a lot that's really promoting the profession. It just tells you what we do. And I think that that's really important for the consumer. This is, it's a good draft, but it's a little on the light side. Like I mentioned, the needles, you're talking about what is acupuncture, and this is a very brief, inadequate description of what acupuncture is based in the modern world of what we know acupuncture is. So we're not talking about yin and yang and qi and balancing the bodies. There's a lot more to it. And I think that the public deserves to be informed of what it is that we're actually doing as a healthcare provider. There's nobody else is being limited to say what it is that you do. So I would like to know specifically what was taken out and why, so that we can have some discussion, not just to say, well, no offense to legal counsel, but certainly it can be challenged or looked at in another way. Maybe he's looking at it one way, and another attorney or someone else might look at it differently. And I'm not trying to promote the profession. I'm trying to protect the consumer. I've proven myself as a consumer advocate, and Cal ATMA is 100% behind getting this done so that we can better communicate with the consumer. Thank you for letting me have a little extra time, Ruben.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chair, may I provide an update? I've been informed that this document has been posted to the website, so it is available digitally at this time. You may need to refresh your browser's cache to have the file updated.
Mr. Chair, can I say one more thing?
Yes, go ahead. Joe.
Very brief. There's nothing in here about any of the dangers, the things that, as my friend Marilyn said, you can get sued for. So it doesn't talk about cupping or moxa or getting burned or certain side effects from needling, bruising, other things that the consumer should be aware of. And those are the things that are in the informed consents that you get from the malpractice carriers. And so I think that you should add that to look at that and see what's in there that would add to this document that wouldn't violate any of the legal stuff that you're concerned about, that would do a much better job at informing the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil.
Good morning. My name is Marilyn Allen. I work with the American Acupuncture Council. I have also served as the delegate to the World Health Organization for the new diagnostic codes. I believe that this is probably something that people need to have. I agree with it 100%. We don't have a plethora of information that a person can take home with them. So from a marketing standpoint, I think the idea is very good. I would like to see it done in a different format, a very modern format, because we live in a different culture than we did before the pandemic. And we need something that appeals to younger people, people that will read it. It needs to be quick. We've got a very short window to get people's attention. And so I'd like to see that run. I'd even suggest that maybe it run through AI just a couple times, because it does pretty interesting things. But there's a lot of information, a lot of terms that I look at legal terms and I go, maybe that won't be the best for the public, because we do want to inform the public. I think that's something that really has to go forth And I think that does protect the public. But yes, we do in informed consent. But how many acupuncturists use informed consent? That's the question we have to ask, which is very necessary because we're here to protect the public, the good citizens of California. You have many acupuncturists, and I applaud you on doing this. I think I remember the older version of this, okay? And thank you for updating it. But I do believe it needs to be colorful and interesting that people will pick up and read.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I forgot to mention that this is a working draft, or maybe I didn't highlight that enough. There's no intention of having the final product at the end of today's session. Really, the purpose today was to bring our stakeholders into the conversation. This is the bare bones so far, and really trying to take out the more challenging material that we had before. I don't believe it's within our need to go and explain why we removed the previous stuff so much as what shall we now include. It's a different time, and we approach explaining our role in a different fashion. And that is not to say, again, that we aren't here expressly to work with our stakeholders to update this. There are different formats, as just was introduced by stakeholder Alan, on how we can approach our various stakeholders of the various demographic breakdowns. But ultimately, the board or the committee would be looking to continue working on this after this, and perhaps seeking representatives from the profession and representatives from consumers of acupuncture, because really the message is for them, it's not for acupuncturists. The associations should be sending out the message to acupuncturists of what you should or shouldn't do. I want to emphasize that the board's role is entry-level competency. The profession's role is excellence in acupuncture. We do not define that, and the board should not define excellence in acupuncture. So what we are looking to do is have the consumer perspective on the services. I can, while I did say we're not rehashing what was removed, as an example, we had a number of conditions listed that acupuncture can treat. It took over a page and a half of the Word document, an 8.5 by 11 page. So really, we're not trying to be exhaustive of what you can. I think stakeholder Miller did note that, the dangers, that's an excellent suggestion. Thank you. And it's these kinds of comments that we're looking to hear from our stakeholders today. And also our committee members are paying attention as to who's providing this information. As an additional update, I did reach out to all the professional associations listed on our website. These are associations that voluntarily provided their information to us to communicate that they are official associations representing the profession. I have received contact or a callback from very few. Hopefully, I'm not quite sure who's online at the moment, but hopefully we have some representatives there as well, and we will be turning to them shortly. But again, we invite you to participate. I believe, yes, of course, you don't have to ask. Please step up.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Miller.
Neil Miller from Cal Atma. Sometimes the profession has a question, like, can we do this or can we not do this? And there's sometimes a gray area, and we turn to the board. We don't turn to our associations. We turn to the person who regulates the profession to say, is this in, is this out? And you made a reference to things that we could treat or couldn't treat, but you didn't name the reference. And the reference was the World Health Organization that listed those things. And those are common things that the public should be aware of, that it's common knowledge that this is what's treated, and this is what a body, the World Health Organization, is stating. So it would seem that we're not promoting the profession. We're taking actual facts and presenting them to the public. so that they have a better understanding of what it is that we do other than just putting in needles. What do you treat, you know? And so that was a pretty fair assessment of what we can do without any bias in any which way. So that's my question, because a lot of times there's entry level, you say entry level, and then we, as a profession, you find out somebody's doing something and you go, can we do this? And you call, you go, I don't know. Well, who do I ask? Do I get, you know, in trouble for violation? And I'm asking for help up front. So thank you again for letting me have an extra comment.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Yes, now, is there anybody online that has any comments? Please go ahead.
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a comment on this item, you can click the raise hand icon or the Q&A icon down at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen. And I do have a request from Philip Yang. Philip, you'll be given 4 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Yang from AACMA and California University, Silicon Valley. For the acupuncture menu, I agree with both Neil Miller and Marilyn Allen. I think that, first is to make the get more pictures or computerized diagrams to do the instruction how the acupuncture work, why acupuncture work. I think this is most of the patients and even the practitioners, they don't know why it works. Right now, I researched many research papers about how acupuncture works, including the Nobel Prize winners in 2017. They illustrated why acupuncture works, how it works. So this would be very, very convincing the consumers how it works. It's a science. It's not something just philosophy, and especially for the Americans. So I think this part can be input in the acupuncture menu. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comments?
This is the moderator. Next, I have Tai Ming. Oh, 1 second. You lowered your hand. Let me find you again. All right, you'll be given 4 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Hello.
And you're muted.
Oh, let me see.
Go ahead, please.
Oh, apologies. It looks like you muted yourself. Let me request to unmute one more time.
Okay, how about now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you so much. Good morning. My name is Danny Zhang. I'm an acupuncturist. I have studied Chinese medicine and Western medicine for a long time, about 30 years clinical experience. So thank you for consumer guide formed by the California Acupuncture Board, because it's pretty good for customer. You can get more benefit. Because acupuncture is not only have 3,000 years of research, it's not only talking about your channel, but it's also learning the modern medicine. Such like we also learning nervous system, the muscle system. Because the traditional acupuncture has been changed to the model acupuncture. It's always the change. Just like if people study in the medical school, they also have a systematic study of traditional medicine and Western medicine. Because in clinic, acupuncture, they need to give a precise individual treatment, use the very complex, we call the Wang Wen Wen Qie. That's meaning we observation people the eye and check their tongue and use the pulse. Then we make a very good treatment. It's not only put a needle. That's not easy. So I have some suggestion for the consumer guide. First, I think consumers should be aware that not only licensed acupuncturists are qualified to see the patient, which can be found on the website. Second, consumers should know that only quality acupuncturists can buy needles, and the consumer can report to the California board if people who no license they buy needle. And the third, consumers should have the right to know what acupuncture can do and who can do it under California board law. And four, consumers should know that acupuncture is convenient with the modern medicine, and acupuncture can not only administer needle but also diagnose and treat the patients. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, this is the moderator. Next, I have Sue Murphy, and Sue, you'll be given 4 minutes to speak in a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
To introduce myself, Sue Murphy, and I have been a consumer of acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine for over 30 years. I'm also a retired patient advocate. And in my work of those years, I mostly introduce people to the to traditional Chinese medicine. And in that position, it was interesting to note how Americans in Western medical care perceive it. And it was difficult to communicate in simple terms what qi and meridians and words like that they could understand and how it could be applied. The biggest thing is that they wanted to know how it works and what they can expect. And in this culture of expectations of quick fixes and lots of medications, it's important, I think, to communicate exactly. No, I mean that there's variations, but to explain what people can expect, at least to a reasonable degree. And so I think, and I'm unfamiliar with your brochure, so I apologize for that. However, just in listening in the brief explanations I have heard, it would seem, and maybe it exists, that a website explaining in more detail of what you're concerned about communicating would be helpful. And especially in this day and age, everybody has a QR code. And so that way you would be affecting a broader range of people and communicating a lot more information that you deem necessary. I am very fortunate to have come to know and be cared for by Dr. Chen. And she treats me and my husband quite successfully. And I'm so very proud to be able to say that she is our practitioner. And I thank her for that. Standardized medicine, Western medicine doesn't include the Chinese medicine does not include the scientific explanations or definitions of what qi would be. And so perhaps in those terms, explanation, excuse me, the concept of treating the root cause rather than only the symptoms and restoring circulation throughout is something that is easily understood. And balancing bodily systems and like hormones, for example, or blood pressure at the forefront of so many conditions. So I think it would be a language. I guess it's a matter of a language and communicating exactly what Chinese medicine and acupuncture can treat. And so I think that a website would be great. It would allow different methods to show different methods, legalities, standards, even scientific studies that have been done by Harvard and other reputable organizations. And it would be an all around
30 seconds.
So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. Anybody else?
This is the moderator. Next, I have Lori Guidos, and Lori, you'll be given 4 minutes to speak in a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device. I apologize. Let me request unmute again.
Unmute me. All right. Can you hear me?
There we go. Yes, we can.
Great. My name's Lori Gaitis. I'm a recent graduate from American College of Traditional Chinese Medicine. I have my doctorate in acupuncture and Chinese medicine, currently pursuing KO licensing. I have some basic comments. So this morning, I just happened to look to see if there were any meetings coming up because I don't get any email announcing that the board is meeting on any issues. And I wonder if acupuncturists that you have emails for or people pursuing KO are getting announcements of these meetings electronically, because I just accidentally dropped in, you know? I would like to be aware so that I can, so if there's some email list that I can join, I'd appreciate it. Also, I'm looking at the board meeting minutes, about us board meeting minutes. There's no time announcing what time these meetings are on that link. If you could update that so that we know when the meeting's going to happen. Also, when I'm looking at on that page, looking at the materials for the meeting and the agenda, one says a guide. The other one says most common acupuncture board violations leading to enforcement violations, which unless I'm clicking on the wrong item, it's a little confusing to me. Are we talking about a acupuncture guide? Are we talking about board violations, enforcement violations? So two different things. Also, is this going to be a printed flyer or brochure, or is it going to be an online document? If so, many of those items could be links that you can drill down on to, if you don't know what dry needling is, you should be able to click on that and educate yourself. Anyhow, so those are my comments today. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, this is the moderator. Next, I have Anyork Lee, and Anyork, you'll be given 4 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Yes. Okay. So
Oh, apologies. It looks like I may have you signed in twice, which is causing an echo. If you can log out of one of your WebEx devices, that way we don't have that echo happening, and then I can unmute you again. And on York, I'm gonna need you to sign out of one of your devices for WebEx. It looks like I have you logged in 3 times. So if you could log out of 2 of those, that would be great. That way we don't get the echo when you're trying to speak. Or if you'd like, you can also type in the Q&A chat below with your comment.
Moderator, can we give the commenter a moment to try to do that and move to the next one? There's
We
any?
do not have any other requests after the current one. I'm waiting to see if he is typing in the Q&A or if he'll log out of the other two logins for WebEx.
Certainly. Can we turn to comments in the room while we wait for the individual to
Sure.
work their technical issues? Thank you. Chair Osorio.
Good morning, Marilyn Allen, American Acupuncture Council. As listening to this, it's a great idea. There needs to be education material for consumers. But I think we need to go back to the drawing board and really have a list of what it means to protect the public and what it means to advocate for the profession. And we need to protect the public. So we need to look at what things should go in there. And most people that I'm finding out, particularly the young ones, they want not necessarily how it works. They want to know what it is that acupuncture can treat or work with or help out. Because so many of them have so many various conditions, and we look at how many pharmaceutical things they're taking and things like that. So I really would like to see this committee look at both protecting the public, what does that mean? And then advocating for the profession. We need collateral material that advocates for the profession tremendously. We do, we need that. But I believe this booklet costs some money, doesn't it? And I'm wondering if we can use some other means, because so many people look at technology and use that, and it's much easier to change technology than it is to print a rebook or a reprint. So I think we just need to kind of go back and look at that and say, what is it? And I know acupuncturists look to the board as to what they can do, but that go back to scope. So we need to look at the scope, and that's something that the profession has to do. They have to take that to the legislature. And I think that maybe we really need to define how, as a profession, we look at our board. We need to work in conjunction with each other. We're the stakeholders, but we need to figure out what it is that we can do. What is it that the profession has to do? Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Moderators, do you have somebody, or Sarah, or somebody else online?
Yes, let's see. So on York, it looks like I can request to unmute you. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device. May request to unmute one more time.
Yeah, I hear the private conversation. My suggestion to the old language, instead of mentioning meridian only, we also use the neuromechanism. Neuromechanism research in the 80s. I was invited by the UCI, Dr. Longhurst, and Dr. Penny in their acupuncture research committee. Okay, all the research was paused because it is NIH bound. For public safety, instead of meridian, we will mention it is aware by the neuromechanism in the today's research. So acupuncturists involved in research since the 80s. Then other professions follow. So that is my recommendation, change the old language. Not only meridian, also mention the neuromechanism solution. This is my first comment. If I have time, I like to mention about the needle. I see the dry needle used by unlicensed people. We should recommend to the Consumer Affairs Department. For those who use different terms, but it's a needle, should be under regulation. So a lot of people know acupuncture works. They want to use dry needle or different term in the future. We should remind Consumer Affairs Department to stop it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my third recommendation regarding the Asian massage and the proper term in traditional medicine is Tuina. In plain English, it is traditional Chinese orthopedic massage. Li Ren Yi, the former assembly or senator, changed from Oriental massage to Asian massage, but it is still confused the people. If you use Tuina, there will be no confusion. The original of Tuina is from massage. Once it becomes a school, Tuina is used. So as third recommendation, change Asian massage to Tuina, and we can put an explanation, traditional Chinese orthopedic massage. That is my comment.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for your comment.
All right, this is the moderator. I have a couple more people who have requested public comment. Next is Yun Shi, and Yun Shi, you'll be given 4 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
My name is Yun Shi. I was a acupuncture student, and I have also been a multi-year patient for acupuncture therapy. I would like to second what Dr. Marilyn Allen have suggested in terms of proposing some material to educate the public. And it's not just to protect the consumer in sense of helping them understand. I think it's also really important for the profession to take on a responsibility of growing the profession as a whole. I saw in some of the practice, they have those little trifolds or a little pamphlet that actually explain what acupuncture can do. Some of them also list different conditions acupuncture can help. A book probably would take a lot of time, but some smaller scale as a bridge over approach might be something that can help. Many patients don't understand acupuncture. They have conditions our mainstream medicine couldn't quite help. So public education, consumer education, I believe is really the key to protect the consumer and promote the profession. So I do not understand how exactly the board would work, but definitely putting money in education is the key because educated consumers are the ones who will give referrals and happy consumers typically don't. So we need to put the money where it matters the most. Thank you.
Also, too, just so that the public and the members understand, so consumer protection for the board is defined in statute by the legislature. The board is acting pursuant to those guidelines put into statute, which is in essence protection of the public through enforcement of the Licensure Act. And generally, the board will be doing that. through disciplinary matters, enforcement matters, and that's the bread and butter of the board.
All right, this is the moderator. Next I have Lori Guidos, and Lori, you'll be given 4 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great. The Consumer's Guide of Acupuncture and Asian Medicine should provide clear, informative, and well-structured content to help patients understand the benefits, risks, and expectations of acupuncture and other traditional Asian medicine practices. The key elements should be included are an introduction to acupuncture and Asian medicine, including a brief history of acupuncture and traditional Asian medicine, explanation of key principles, yin-yang theory, 5 elements, qi and meridians, overview of common treatment modalities, acupuncture, cupping, herbal medicine, moxibustion, Tui Na, and dietary therapy, an understanding of how acupuncture works, both scientific explanations and traditional concepts, overviews of common conditions treated, such as pain management, stress, digestive disorders, fertility support, immune system support, expected benefits and limitations, what to expect during an acupuncture session, the consultation, the health history assessment, the explanation of acupuncture points and needle insertion, sensations during and after treatments, duration and frequency of treatments. Also, safety risks and side effects, including safety guidelines and importance of seeing a licensed practitioner, possible side effects of bruising, soreness, or fatigue after the treatment, contraindications when acupuncture may not be suitable. Also, finding a qualified practitioner using the licensing website for CAB and certification requirements of NCCAOM and the California Acupuncture Board. Questions to ask a prospective acupuncturist. Importance of hygiene and sterile needle use. Understanding herbal medicines and other therapies. Insurance costs and coverages, which is very important for both the patient and the practitioner. Research and evidence supporting acupuncture's efficacy and common misconceptions and myths about acupuncture. Consumer rights and regulations, patients' rights, informed consents, how to file complaint, the regulatory bodies that oversee acupuncture practices, and integrating acupuncture with conventional medicine, how acupuncture complements Western medicine, the importance of communication between healthcare providers, and case studies and testimonies from patients using integrative medicine. What this particular guide is missing is the guide does not mention modern scientific research or clinical trials supporting acupuncture's effectiveness for pain management, stress reduction, fertility, or other conditions. Providing references to studies would be helpful so people can investigate themselves. The scope of practice, the guide states that acupuncturists are primary
30 seconds.
providers in California, but does not clearly define their scope of practice. Anyhow, any of this information I just pulled off of ChatGPT asking those questions. So it was, we have to use current technology. Thank you.
All right, this is the moderator. Next I have Rona Ma, and Rona, you'll be given 4 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
I will be second Dr. Ayo Lee's comment regarding the dry needles. I think the consumer should be educated what is dry needle, what the difference between the needle we use. Actually, they're the same, only this education. So, Medicare is allowed to treat lower back pain for all the seniors, but they put clearly there is
no dry needles. I think that is a part of the education because besides California, the most of the state, they allow the physical therapy to do the dry needles. So that's a misguided consumer. I think that part should be added. Thank you.
All right, this is the moderator. Next I have Michael McCulloch. And Michael, you'll be given 4 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device. And Michael, you were unmuted.
Okay, I'm unmuted and I am beginning my presentation. Is this the time?
Please.
Okay, thank you very much. So I am a tutorial trained licensed acupuncturist with research training in a PhD in clinical epidemiology at the School of Public Health, UC Berkeley. And as a founding member of the California Association of Acupuncture Tutorials, I present to you today a proposal that would constitute a vital evolution in California's acupuncture tutorial education system, which has very few participants. This proposal would enhance clinical training, elevate research literacy, and position our profession as a leader in integrative medicine.
Point of order, Mr. McCullough.
Yes.
Did I get that right? Apologies, but we're talking about the Consumer's Guide to Acupuncture. This sounds like it may be a public comment for items not on the agenda, if we're
Yes.
referring just to the tutorial. If we can reserve that for the later agenda item for that specifically, we'd like to keep this conversation on task with the item at hand.
Thank you. And is that today or tomorrow?
Yes, that is today. We have this item to finish, and then there is the enforcement violations item, and then after that is public comment for items not on the agenda.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
We appreciate your attendance.
Good thing.
And just so the public is aware that the board always asks for public comment for items not on the agenda at every meeting.
All right, and this is the moderator. I have a request for comment from Sue Murphy. And Sue, you'll get 4 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Hello again. I'm sorry, I thought I was just adding to the Q&A, but just in order to add to my previous statement, I just wanted to say that a lot of the patients that I did work with as a patient advocate who were looking to get information and to experience acupuncture, is that a lot of them went through their primary care physicians. They were looking for those approvals from them first and from several of their other healthcare providers. And I found that it would be so much more helpful for perhaps expanding the educational process. Not that this is beyond the scope of this topic. However, I think it all connects so that everybody could somehow be informed and have a reliable piece of information to begin with, and that would be helpful for all. So thank you for having me.
All right, this is the moderator. It appears there are no further requests on WebEx.
I would like to ask that for the individuals that have attended virtually today and in person, we welcome you to send the acupuncture board your suggestions. I definitely am trying to write these notes down and We are recording, but we can't always capture everything accurately that is being spoken, especially when it's broadcast. And your information would be helpful. I'd also like to point out a spectrum that we have established in terms of patient advocacy versus consumer protection. As our legal counsel has pointed out, the board's authority, no more, no less, is to enforce the Acupuncture Act and to address regulations that will help with that enforcement in the aims of public protection. We heard some comments today, which was a very involved set of conditions or items, for example, that AI even introduced. I invite the associations to generate this kind of information. I have gone to all their websites. I do not see consumer information on their websites. I invite, perhaps I didn't hit all the links. So if there are associations out there that do have consumer information about acupuncture, that they send it to acupuncture@dca.ca.gov. We are looking for this kind of information. The board does not recommend licensees. What we do is we say they have entry-level competencies. They've been informed of the laws. They've been trained at authentic, approved institutions or have received the appropriate oversight in their training to be licensed in California. From that point onwards, we rely on the associations to represent themselves, to recommend their best practitioners, and to inform the public as to what they can expect. Of course, we definitely want to set the basic expectations, and this is the purpose of looking at this document. To allay some possible fears, the design element of this document is not in question at this moment. What's critical is that we decide on the content, and it may be in the committee's desire to even scratch what is currently written and look at what maybe we could start from scratch if that is the case. But this is just a point to start for everyone. We've had a number of suggestions today, which it sounds like different people have different ideas of how to present this information. And we welcome mock-ups from the public. We are a small board in terms of a small number of staff, so we cannot be producing a lot of material on this, but while we're also law enforcement, to ensure that the agreement between the people and the board is that, and the profession, is that you will at minimum receive this kind of treatment, this kind of service. And that also, I think as a closing for my comment, is we must keep in mind that the board's role is not so much to say what is permitted, but what is not permitted. We carve out what the board can do in statements, and it's difficult for the board to provide legal advice. A lot of what the board puts out, we have to be careful that it's not seen as legal advice. And we rely on the profession to really provide the details. We are law enforcement, in effect. All right, we enforce the Acupuncture Act. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bodell. Yes, that's the purpose of today. I am encouraging everybody to please send your suggestions, since we are preparing to do the new brochure. So please do. It's dca.ca.
The email is acupuncture@dca.ca.gov, and the website is www.acupuncture.ca.gov.
Thank you. So is there any more questions at the moderator?
This is a moderator. It appears we have a request from Lori Guidos again. And Lori, you'll be given 4 minutes to speak in a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Thank you. My question was answered. It was the email address that you wanted these comments to go to.
All right. And with that, it appears there are no further requests for public comment.
Okay, how about, is there any more public comments?
I have a point of order question. Are we going to do the rest of this that's on the agenda, or is the brochure going to cover everything? Does A through F?
Please step to the microphone. We can't quite hear you.
Neil Miller, Cal Atma. Point of order, is this discussion wrapping up on the brochure, or are we going to address A through F from the agenda?
Sorry, Mr. Miller, are you looking at the agenda for the next committee meeting?
It says,
I believe that is the case. That's for the licensing committee?
so the only thing on here was this discussion, because it says 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, D, E, F, and then 4, public comment.
Yeah. So
That's
the next
today.
item on today's agenda for this committee would be discussion and possible action on top 10 enforcement violations in the practice of acupuncture. Perhaps the printout didn't complete.
It says here, discussion on possible action on the consumer guide, and then it goes right to A through F.
Yes, Mr. Miller, I think we have 2 meetings today, and I think you might have missed a page or 2 for the agenda. So there's also the enforcement, sorry, we're on the enforcement committee right now. And then let me look specifically at the materials for the.
That is in the next committee meeting.
Yeah.
I can attest to that.
Okay, because the way it's written out here, it says 3, and then it goes to 3, A through F. So maybe I'm missing something that
I think there's a missing page.
was in my packet.
Yes, if you want to look at it, the full agendas are posted online. So if you want to just double check the agendas for yourself.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, anybody else? I don't see any. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Doctor. I didn't see you.
Thank you, Chair Osorio. So what I heard from the stakeholders, it seems everybody support. I didn't hear any against support the consumer guide to acupuncture and the Asian medicine. So I would like possible to make a motion to move to the whole board for further discussion. And tomorrow, maybe some people cannot come today because a 2 days meeting, some people stakeholder come tomorrow. So maybe we'll hear more, okay?
So President Chen, unfortunately, we probably won't be able to do a deep discussion on this tomorrow because it's not agendized. So we'll have to wait to do it at a future board meeting to have a deep discussion of this, but we can also bring it up later.
Can we bring to tomorrow? We have an agenda. So that
We won't be able to add it to the agenda at this point. We have a 10-day minimum requirement to add things to the agenda. So since it's tomorrow, we won't be able to add it to the agenda quite.
There's a report from today to tomorrow.
Oh, is there a report to? Oh, okay, that's fine then.
There's a report. I don't know how much we can open up a new discussion.
Yeah, I would
It's,
keep it limited.
but it can be recommended that this be taken up at the full board meeting. I would.
Tell the board what we did.
They will be reporting today's action. It's sounding like there may be maybe a question clarifying for Dr. Chen. Do we want the board to discuss the role of the board in this brochure and where we can invite the profession to draft their portion so that the board can draft its portion? Or do we want to recommend that we continue working on this as a committee and look at the what is sent in from our stakeholders? So just so that I'm trying to provide options, since we can't necessarily rehash the whole discussion at the board level. We can provide the update that this happened, for example, and that there's a difference of opinion of what the board should be presenting and what the profession should be presenting, and what is education as opposed to advocacy, right? These are the questions that I've heard debated today, or at least shared in the sentiments.
Yeah, so we'll have the agenda about
Yeah, the full board meeting agenda, the report is in the executive reports section.
Executive report. Yeah.
Mhm.
Sure. Enforcement committee meeting update. So we have a meeting update tomorrow.
Mhm.
So we don't need to vote.
Yeah, we don't need to vote. We will be able to discuss, report on what we talked about. And then a limited discussion on the acupuncturist, from the board members. They can definitely request that it be brought to a full meeting as well if they hear the report, or at that time, any board member, including a committee member, can say, I recommend we just bring this to the full board at the next meeting.
Okay. So,
Also, too, this is well within staff to do, so you can just tell us to do that too.
I saw it's already there in tomorrow's full board meeting agenda. It's executive report for the enforcement committee, the meeting update. So Mr. Osorio will update to tomorrow because we don't have all the board members here.
Indeed.
Okay.
May I ask, do you still want that motion since it's on the floor?
So that's just a suggestion.
Okay, so you can just remove them,
Yeah.
withdraw the motion. Motion withdrawn. Drawn, excuse me. We've done enough satisfactory public comment at this point, right? We can move on. We can move on to the next item.
Couldn't get this thing.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I guess there's nobody else, any more comments? So we are going to move to the next item, and that'll be the 10 most common enforcement violation.
Thank you, Chair Osorio. Our stakeholders have requested that we revisit the top 10 violations that occur, that the board sees and that are disciplined. I just want to bring people's attention to the fact that we receive complaints of all kinds. These are the complaints that actually result in discipline. So generally it's ordered in prevalence, but all of these is something we see when we are investigating. Would you like me to move through them?
Yes, Mr. Badea, please do.
Thank you kindly, Chair. So briefly going over, again, all the laws and regulations are in the Business and Professions Code, starting with 4927, I believe, and then in the California Code of Regulations is where the board's authority to enact additional laws provided by the legislature take place in 1399.4. Oh wait. In the 1399 area. And so number one, a lot of complaints come in as different enforcement jurisdictions reporting convictions or arrests. And once we receive something like that, we investigate. Things that contribute to this would be multiple DUIs, sexual battery or assault, or insurance or healthcare fraud. Second is unlawful practice of acupuncture. Either a licensed individual is delinquent or has a canceled license and they continue to practice. They're advertising acupuncture or being a specialist without having a license, so an unlicensed practice. Dried needling or acupuncture performed by unlicensed individuals. An unlicensed individual owning all or part of an acupuncture professional corporation. 3, failure to register an address change. It is the law that the licensee must notify the board of an address change within 30 days. It is critical that the board be able to reach you in a timely fashion. Should the board not be able to do so, it is a violation, an additional violation, as you are not cooperating with the board is on top of that. Number 4, unregistered practice location or display of license. We do now have the wall license. And going up to the previous item, you registering your address with the board allows for that to happen. And moreover, the license lookup that is hosted by the DCA, Department of Consumer Affairs, lists your practice addresses as well as your address of record. As a note, The address of record does not have to be your private address, but it is the address of record, meaning it is public record and will be displayed. Number 5, negligence or incompetence. For items such as failure to remove needles from the patient after a treatment, or you've caused an adverse reaction from your treatments. A lot of this we see in burns or bruising, usually extreme bruising. Practicing beyond the scope of practice, or needling through clothing. This is problematic and can lead to harm. Number 6, malpractice settlements. Any settlements over at 3,000 or higher must be reported to the board, and the board investigates these settlements, such as pneumothorax, is what we normally hear of, or burns and blisters. Number 7, sexual misconduct, such as inappropriate touching, romantic relationship with a patient, or exposing or treating patient body parts without establishing consent. Number 8, failure to follow infection control, such as improper disposal of needles, failure to sterilize instruments, or unclean and unsanitary conditions. Number 9, discipline by another public agencies. So revocation or probation from another healing arts license, either in state or out of state. And number 10, failure to notify board of false or assumed name. If you're using a nickname or an also known as or AKA different from your licensed name without notifying the board, that could be seen as that is seen as problematic, as the individual would have no way to find you. Additionally, I guess what isn't listed here, but what I'd like to underscore is your license number is what proves to the public that you are a legitimate acupuncturist. There should be no issue in you providing that number, advertising with that number. They will be able to look you up and know where to find you for your treatments. Additionally, another item I'd like to point out and really underline is the notion of informed consent. We tend to have the biggest problems here, and it was introduced here with under sexual misconduct. If people don't know what they're going to expect, they are going to react in ways you won't expect. So it is really important that you as a practitioner are communicating to your patient what you are going to be doing. If you're going to be exposing them to or affecting their levels of modesty, they need to be aware of that and be able to consent to that kind of treatment. I know that schools treat on cultural sensitivities. These are general sensitivities for everybody as well. So it's best that you are clear and you are clearly communicated what they can be expecting in this treatment. If you need to change the way they are draped to reach another portion of their body, it is best that you immediately communicate that before you do that. They shouldn't be guessing as to what you would be doing. And I think we'll leave it there. Any questions or comments from the committee?
No, I don't. I don't. Me, Doctor.
Thank you, Chair. I think the board staff did a fabulous job to list all this, summarize these 10 most violated enforcement, top 10 enforcement items. So it's very clear here. I think it's good for everybody. First of all, for protecting consumer public, and second, for the licensee professional to be more aware how to avoid those violations, and the third for the board too. We are the enforcement body, but we don't expect or we will hope less violation. So that's very good job. Thank you for EO Badia and staff, legal, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Chen. Yes, I'd like to add also that the enforcement is one of the most expensive things that the board spends the money on. It's a lot of time consuming, and it's something that by doing this, updating this brochure, hopefully will help us do a better job in run the board and protect the public at the same time better. So thank you very much. Is there any public comments?
Neil Miller from Cal APMA. Wow. I've been after this for a long, 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 long time. And I really, really appreciate you laying it out like this. And it'll be a lot easier as a profession to specifically talk about some of the problems. I have a couple of suggestions. As we're being proactive, that's been the word. I've been trying to get this down. I think that most of the schools do a great job, but there are some schools that are falling through the cracks. And I think that this should be sent to every school. And I think that it should be posted on the wall at the schools. Everybody should, you can't make them do that, but you should be able to send this out. And you may make a recommendation that they post it. Practicing beyond scope of practice. So we have to really establish the interpretation of the scope of practice. Sometimes what's written in statute can be interpreted in different ways. And so we have questions, and sometimes these questions aren't really answered. And that's a big problem, is that somebody's going to do something. And I brought this up the last time regarding lasers, that there are programs that were approved for continuing education, and the word out there is that there's nothing in the scope that says you can't do this. And there was a legal opinion that said that it was like heat, but that it was experimental. And now it's no longer experimental, it's over the counter. You, Ben Bodea, could go buy a laser and treat yourself or your family or something. So there are issues in scope of practice that we do need to address. We're not trying to establish scope. Scope's established in the legislature, but you're the bridge for us to understand that the scope, if there's something that's unclear. And if it is unclear, then I think it's within the board's purview to let the B&P committee know the next time you have a review that we have a problem, and we have the same problem. We have some of the same problems since Little Hoover. So now that we're doing some of the work that the legislator has asked us to do, maybe we can go back to them and say, we may have a problem. We're not advocating for the profession, but there is some gray area, and the profession has again and again asked us to have some clarity here. I'm working on the laser issue with some legislators, but I'm just using that as an example. I never knew about the $3,000 or more, and I think that should be, you mentioned it, but it's not written here. And I think that would be included. Schools. Lastly is about the wall license. I don't think it was a great idea, but I paid for my wall license, and now I would like to get some feedback from the board. Is this a process that's working or not? Are you able to establish the reason why you did this? Is it a cost-effective thing to charge us all an extra $50? Or is there another way to do it? I would like to have that as I guess, a future agenda item, but it's on here. And I would like to address that a little better going forward. So there's a little bit more clarity and a little less problems. And thank legal counsel for your effort in putting this together. I'm tough on you, but that's your job. It's my job.
All right. Anybody else?
Hello again, Marilyn Allen, AAC. There is a new database which has been put together in the National Acupuncture Database or Disciplinary Database, because one of the issues we see is if someone gets in trouble in one state, they lose their license, they've got more than one DUI, they may have sexual impropriety, whatever those issues are, there's no communication between boards. There is now a national disciplinary database, and the boards were given information on that and how to use it. Most other boards have things like this, but we're the first one that has it actually in use, so that a board, if someone's coming to your state, maybe they're not a new practitioner, they're just moving for whatever reason, you can go back and look at their backgrounds and see if they are in trouble or if they have been in trouble, and is that the reason they're moving? I mean, we have people moving to states that are not licensed right now, but that is a big issue. I also applaud you on the fact of your list of things. And I will tell you, burns is number 1 in malpractice. Number 2 is pneumothorax. And pneumothoraxes have now moved from one lung to a bilateral pneumothorax, and we've had a number of those. We used to be able to send, as a malpractice carrier, we could send that patient to the hospital for $3,500, have the lung pumped back up and the hole usually closes. But now the hospitals are keeping people, and we had one just stay in the hospital 11 days. And the hospital bill was paid by her health care, it was $110,000. And then that health care company leaned the malpractice case. So before anything got settled in any way, that $110,000 hospital bill had to be paid. So things are stepping up. There are more attorneys, and it's easy for a patient to sue for malpractice and various things. But we've also had broken bones. Bruises is an issue, but if the practitioner will tell them about that, in the beginning, nobody's really nervous about that. But I think this is not the job of the board to look at that, but I do believe we need more information to our practitioners. And the other thing, I would like you to think about having people actually read the laws and regulations. I've taught 2 classes recently, one in Northern California and one in Southern California. And we went through this large booklet, and they went, oh, I didn't know that I didn't know the board could do that. So I think how we protect the public is a really interesting issue, and I think people should know that. And you have regulatory responsibility. And I think, I teach it in the ethics class. So thank you for everything you've done. And I know that it's a hard job, but thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I may, it's encouraging to hear that the National Acupuncture Practitioner Database is up and running. The board does utilize the National Practitioner Data Bank, which is all healing arts across the United States for the participating states. I believe everyone's on there, but I'm not quite sure. But we do get informed of when there are violations that have taken place by our licensees in other states. And we do fingerprinting when they do apply for licensure here. And if there is an action on them at that time in another state, it tends to show up because it's a DOJ and FBI check, as well as California.
Good morning, everyone. And it's a pleasure to meet all of you. My name is Jorge Ental. I am an employee of the Permanente Medical Group and representing our new bargaining unit of 57 acupuncture providers across Northern California. My question is in reference to the first item on this list of common acupuncture board violations, convictions and arrests. And there's an item at the third item, the insurance or healthcare fraud. And I was wondering if that is specifically only a matter of interest to enforcement if there is a conviction or arrest, or if it's a matter of interest to the enforcement committee if it's found. And as a representative of our bargaining unit, I'm most concerned about a practice of acupuncture that's being done more in a small group setting, where a current procedural a current procedural terminology code, the cmte code, is being used, and there is it's a time-based code. And so it's critical that providers who are using that code fulfill the minimum time requirement. But in a context of like modern healthcare, we're being asked to see more and more patients. And rather than providing an individualized patient-centered care, we're being asked to provide care in group settings for more and more patients. And so my concern is that there are providers who may be told by leadership or management of their, healthcare system to use a time-based code that they may not be able to fulfill based on the amount of one-on-one time that they're spending with the patient. And so it's a question that's really maybe something for people to think about, but I see it as a fraudulent act. And it's a concern that I think is represented through our unit.
I cannot really answer your question without providing legal advice there.
Yeah.
It's very close to it in terms of this procedure and the code. I would recommend working with an attorney at this point on that matter, and also reaching out to the associations
Gotcha.
for standard of care and how they address the coding, or any of the insurance companies outside of the Kaiser system, perhaps. Again, this is not legal advice.
Yeah.
So
We have our counsel through our union who's aware of it. And so I'm curious about whether this is just a matter that enforcement might, if there's no conviction or arrest, if it's something that is an issue, a matter of interest.
Again, sorry, the board is really not allowed to do any legal advice and has to take a pretty wide range, stance against that. If you want to send this as an email to Mr. Bodea, we can consider it maybe a little bit more thoroughly to see if there's any guidance we can provide or any relevant statutes that we can share with you. But most likely, you're going to want to speak to an attorney who can provide full legal advice.
I feel, and legal counsel, please shut me down if I'm wrong here, but what I can provide is that in an administrative law setting, so when the board takes a disciplinary action, the evidentiary basis is not as high as in the criminal courts. Criminal courts is beyond a reasonable doubt. Right? Evidentiary basis here is clear and convincing, or
I would need to double check
We'll
the
double check that.
statute. So this again might be more of a question for
submitted to us.
If we
Okay,
can review
great.
it.
That
And
would, I mean, I appreciate where this discussion is kind of led, and so I'll send that to you
Please.
via email. Okay.
But again, do be prepared that our response might just be, we can't provide legal advice.
But yeah, I think it would be helpful to know what the level of evidence, what's standard level of evidence is utilized here.
I highly recommend discussing this with acupuncture lawyers.
Okay.
They very well know this. Yeah.
Okay, great. Appreciate your time.
Here.
Okay, I see no more questions here, so we go with moderator, see if she's got anything.
Great. This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a public comment on this item, you can click the raise hand icon or use the Q&A option down at the bottom of your WebEx screen. And it looks like first I have Farshid Namin, and Farshid, you'll be given 4 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Former Dean of the acupuncture school in Southern California and current faculty in the acupuncture school. My question is about the order of this list of the violations. So how we put them in, we put this order together. So I just heard that Mrs. Marilyn Allen mentioned that number one is about malpractice and pneumothorax. So, but I see that this is not the first one. So I'm curious how this orders comes, because I'm sure that our student in the classroom is asking about same question. Is this, the first items in this list is because of it is more common items of the violation, or for example, how we put together this list in order. Thank you so much.
All right, this is the moderator. Next I have Lori Gatos, and Lori, you'll be given 4 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
I'm just interested, this is Lori Gaitis. I'm just interested in, will this common acupuncture board's violation leading to enforcement violation be posted at the government website? I personally never heard of the requirement for self-reporting of settlements over 3,000, and I'm still learning, so I just am very interested in that. As I understand it, settlements are typically private and are not published officially anywhere and are typically kept silent. So since self-reporting is self-incrimination and it's obviously an ethical question, I'd be interested in knowing how many acupuncturists have reported this over the past years. I'm finished.
All right, this is the moderator. Next we have Rona Ma. And Rona, you'll be given 4 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Good morning again. This is Rona Ma, board member of American Specialty, American ASCM. So I'm so surprised in January, I received a copy of law and the regulation related to the practice of acupuncture, updated version in January. Thank you so much for the board, for Ben and your team. I think you're working very, very hard. The secondary, but one thing I wondered, how many acupuncturists read this regulation? So, and also I will be thanks. Finally, we have the 4-hour mandatory continuing education regarding the medical ethic and the laws. So I think that is a golden opportunity, go through this 4 hours training. We can, give all the acupuncturists, to promoting and explaining the relevant law and the regulation made by California board. But I suggest that maybe, because I have the honor to be the speaker, to teach this, I hope that is probably besides the medical ethic, give some percentage, for example, 25%, you must teach the California regulation and the law. So that is because all the acupuncture need to that. So that is the golden opportunity to let them know more clear the regulation in California. And also go to read that, and also the inspection is up on the compliant. So I'm suggest that maybe the board can have inspection teams. Maybe you don't have money, you maybe have some people volunteered. If you need, you can count on me. That is give the training and help the board, to do a set visit. Okay, that is not the purpose is promote and help the licensee to comply with the California board regulation. Is not for the punishment, but if they are not correct, maybe the punishment will be followed. That is my suggestion. Thank you.
All right, this is the moderator. Next, I have Philip Yang. And Philip, you'll be given 4 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Well, good morning. This is Philip Yang from AACMA and the California University Silicon Valley. When I see the material, this board meeting today, so I saw this most common acupuncture board violations leading to enforcement violations. I think this is a very, very good. But I think I thought this is a requirement to for every acupuncturist to post in their practice, but actually it's not. But I immediately sent this to our WeChat group of the association. So everyone pays special attention to this referential information, because before I give the teachings for the ethic class, I mentioned some of the violations here mentioned. Here is covered everything, and some of them need to get specific pointing out, like some malpractice, including unlawful practice. Like a few years ago, I remember there's a legislation discussed in the CAD board meeting, like no any other professionals, including some and like MDs and chiropractors and acupuncturists, they can perform any inspection in the genital area for either male or female. So that's an unlawful practice. So this is covered in this range, but I don't think someone like some acupuncturists realize this. So I heard some acupuncturists say, so long as the patients sign a kind of sign a paper, just a very unofficial paper, say you agree I do the inspection for you, including anus and the genital area, some proof of that. So actually this is a dangerous practice and lawful practice. So this is really need the awareness of all the practitioners. And thank you for the information. I may suggest every practitioners post this in their practice, or keeping in mind this is an unlawful practice. Thank you.
All right, this is the moderator. Next, I have Lori Guidos again. And Lori, you'll be given 4 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
I'm sorry, I should have mentioned this earlier. I believe I saw Mr. Miller with this document in his hands at the meeting, but since I am virtual, don't have a copy of it. Could you post this? Most common acupuncture board violations leading to enforcement violations to the materials section of the Enforcement Committee's board meeting website?
Yes, just so you're aware, all the materials are posted to the website currently. Ben, do you have the website?
I don't
address?
see it there.
Yeah, the www.acupuncture.ca.gov. There is a row of items at the top of the page. Go to the one that says board meetings. That'll take you to a list for the 2025 board meeting calendar, presently just one item. You'll see today's meeting listed, but there won't be a time there. If you scroll to the right or look to the right, there is a column for the agenda and the materials, and then a column for the WebEx link that you're joining us on.
Yeah, but am I still live here?
Yes, you are.
All I have under that section for materials. Oh, yeah. Maybe. Yes, I do. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. And as a advisement to the public and our stakeholders, the top 10 violations have been posted on our website. This is available, has been available for everyone. I encourage everyone, especially the schools. I think that was an excellent suggestion by Mr. Miller. We can't push this on the schools, but we do make it available. And this has been updated with, the previous version was looking at fiscal year 16-17. This has been updated a bit, but not much because the similar problems persist or similar violations persist. Additionally, there was a commenter that discussed the reporting requirement. And I just want to say that
the settlement reporting requirement.
Yeah. And I highly encourage our stakeholders to take a look at our laws and regulations booklet. That's on the main page under the quick hits section. Our staff has done a lot of work to provide not only the Acupuncture Act and regulations, but also all the statutes and other regulations that are mandated on the board, but not contained within our laws. So you will find 800C in the Business and Profession Code, 800C, and that is requiring that medical insurance providers report. There is no self-reporting technically required or by law that I'm aware of.
I would also need to double check those. I do believe most of the self-reporting requirements are under the 800s of the BPC, but I don't know those off the top of my head.
Okay.
And I will also state that you should speak to an attorney if you have any questions. The board does not provide legal advice.
This is not legal advice. Thank you.
All right, this is the moderator. It appears there are no further requests for public comment on WebEx. Oh, actually, I apologize. We do have a request for public comment from Michael McCulloch. And Michael, you'll be given 4 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device. And once again, this is for agenda item 4. And this, oh, there we go.
I apologize. I'm waiting for the public comment section unrelated to.
Perfect. We should be getting there shortly. I'm going to lower your hand until we get there.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and this is the moderator. Appears there are no further requests for public comment on agenda item 4.
Okay, then there is no more. We're going to continue with public comments.
For items not on the agenda, Mr. McCullough, this would be a perfect opportunity for you to provide your comment.
Right, this is the moderator. Did you want to do comments in the room first and then WebEx?
Yes, let's do it that way then.
Perfect, thank you.
Nothing in the room. So we go with the
All right, and that
WebEx.
Go ahead.
Okay. This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a comment for items not on the agenda, you can click the raise hand icon or use the Q&A icon down at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen. All right, and now we have Michael McCulloch. And Michael, you'll be given 4 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Thank you very much. And thank you, members of the board, for hosting this meeting today. My name is Michael McCulloch, and I'm a tutorial trained licensed acupuncturist. I also have research training with a PhD in clinical epidemiology at the School of Public Health, UC Berkeley. And as a founding member of the California Association of Acupuncture Tutorials, I present to you today a proposal which would transform the existing California acupuncture tutorial education program, which is, some would argue, outdated and doesn't provide enough of the kind of breadth of education that was possible within the school setting. I propose that we transform what was the tutorial program into a new program that will enhance clinical training, elevate research literacy, and help strengthen our position as a profession as leaders in integrative medicine. This proposal converts the existing tutorial program into a structured 300-hour clinical externship program, providing acupuncture school students with unparalleled opportunities for real-world, hands-on experience and academic achievement. Thus, we would be bridging the gap between theory and practice by bringing in tutorial exceptionalism as it relates to clinical practice. It is often reported that current acupuncture school programs, while they're rigorous in their classroom education and the instruction, the breadth of instruction, they often fall short in clinical training. Many students graduating with insufficient supervised patient interaction, which can, these are direct comments that we have heard at the association, can leave them underprepared for independent community-based clinical practice. By partnering acupuncture school students with licensed acupuncturists who have a minimum of 10 years experience, as was part of the tutorial regulations, this externship would provide enhanced hands-on training in real-world clinical settings. Students would actively participate in diagnostics, treatment planning, patient care under the guidance of seasoned mentors. This model ensures that students develop practical competency, critical thinking, and confidence in patient management, addressing one of the most significant gaps in acupuncture education today. It's a key investment in patient safety and clinical excellence, ensuring that new practitioners enter the field with higher degree of skill and preparedness. The other element of this proposal is around building research and academic engagement. A truly modern acupuncture curriculum must also engage with scientific research, ensuring that graduates can contribute to the broader medical community and the body of knowledge. Using small group clinical research model, this externship would introduce students to fundamental clinical research methodologies. Externship students would work in groups of 6 to 10 to design and execute a research
30
project,
seconds.
culminating in peer review publication. Encouraging a culture of inquiry and evidence-based practice that dual-trained practitioners such as myself, and there are others out there, to provide students with both more intensive clinical training and specific research methods that actually lead to publication, providing them for participation in employment.
All right, this is the moderator. Time is up.
Thank you very much. And I welcome any questions regarding our proposed 300-hour clinical externship program.
Mr. McCullough, if you'd like to send that to the board, we'd be happy to look at that. You are the only association I know that's officially addressing the tutorial program, so appreciate your participation today and also the participation of our stakeholders in person and remote, as well as the associations that showed up at invitation. So grateful for that. Moderator.
All right, this is the moderator. Next, I have Philip Yang. And Philip, you'll be given 4 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Hi, Philip Yang from ACMA and California University, Silicon Valley. I do have several items. First is in the application for license exam, there's about the cmte. The cmte certificates can be accepted. One is a CCOM. The second is provided by the approved programs. So approved educational and training program or school, we can provide the certificate with CMT. Mostly we've been done the cmte cmte tests by guided from CCOM. Then we find some programs, when they provide by their cmte tests and certificates, maybe there is a concern of the qualifications. I may suggest some guidelines attached to these application qualifications. So like give some guidelines which one need to follow. I do see the guidelines, the referential materials for the cmte editions written by CCOM. Yeah, that's very good, but I don't think every program follow that guideline and give the strict supervision for the exam or tests. So this is the first one. Second is for the CEU, on this profession, there, we know many either practitioners or associations or schools, we provide the CEU courses. But some individuals or some even schools, then recently it's happening. Of course, it's not something illegal; it's legal. They provide the CEU courses for free. Then our association ACMA have a big concern, like we collect them very low price, like for our members. So that's because they are members. So like $30 something. But when they get free, that really impact our association, including membership, and also we concerned about the qualifications of the CEUs. Now more and more providers, including more schools, also give for free CEUs, try to attract more practitioners to take that courses. So if there's any regulations or any restrictions for this price or something, can be a concern and to be something to be considered in the future. Third is there's a gap between the approved schools, approved programs, and approved programs. Like approved programs, including ACOM credited schools, we have some restrictions that we cannot do, including some language restrictions, and
30 seconds.
and another schools, but just approved but non-accredited schools can do more. So this lead to the unfair competition in the student enrollment. Thank you.
All right, this is the moderator. Appears there are no further requests from the public on WebEx.
Okay, since there's no more questions, I would like to.
Oh, I just want to take a chance, so just so the public is aware. So all of the board's meetings are posted online. We will post the agenda 10 days ahead of every meeting. Typically, the board sets the meeting calendar in either the first meeting of the year or the last meeting of the year for the next year too. So you should also have a little bit of a heads up as well. And I believe there is also a listserv, but correct me if I'm wrong, Ben.
Thank you, legal counsel. That is correct. There is a voluntary listserv. You can join the stakeholder list on our website. It's on the main page on the left side towards the bottom. Just provide us your email address and we'll include you on the next release. And you would be notified once the agendas are posted. You are also notified when the materials are posted. We notify folks when there are changes to our laws and regulations booklet with updates. So this January, we did send out a notification when we posted the updated version, which grew by about 12 pages. So thank you to Marilyn Allen for pointing that out to us. We're not trying to create a novel, but we do want our licensees and our public to be informed of the laws and regulations governing acupuncture. Thank you.
Okay, well, I also want to thank our staff, our CEO that has created all this and have done wonders to accomplish, and what the board is now, it's so much better. Thank you. And
Thank you.
you're welcome. And I want to thank everybody. Your participation is going to be a great help, and thank you very much.
Just one more item. We have future agenda items also included as the last agenda item before adjournment. We did note the possible modifications to the tutorial program and possibly the cmte discussion, CE, and schools language requirement for unaccredited schools, I believe, was provided. Are there any future agenda items in person that would like to be provided?
No, there is none.
Seeing none, let's move to the WebEx.
All right, this is the moderator for members of the public. If you would like to make a comment for future agenda items, please click the raise hand icon or the Q&A icon. All right, and it appears there are no requests on WebEx.
Back to the room.
I apologize. We do have a request from Philip Yang. And Philip, you'll be given 4 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Sorry, I clicked it later. There are 3 more items. One is in California license exam, the qualifications seem like you just need the transcripts, and also in the transcript we CAB recommended 3 companies which get evaluations for the transcripts. But seem their requirement is a little different. The different standards, like some transcripts are not official, but they still give the credentials. So this is something we're concerned. Second is for the examiners who do the examinees who some have the master's degree, some are not master's degree. So if we do we have the specific requirement for the people who take the exam have to get the master's degrees? Because we do have the different levels for different applicants. And another is the dry needling awareness for the future. This has been talked about so many times, but our association also just give the oral profession and also legislators to be awareness of dry needling taken by other professionals. So we emphasize dry needling is still acupuncture, the scope of practice, not anything else, not something new. And then last one is for enhanced graduates, including licensed practitioners. It's better we have the residency program to ensure their quality of the practice. We not only get a license to have the ability or competencies to do the practice, but also for quality of the practice, ensure the quality of the effect. So residency program is necessary for all the graduates. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this is the moderator. Appears there are no further requests for public comment on WebEx.
Okay, Mr. Miller?
And this is for future agenda items?
No. I am commenting on Mr. Osario's comment. I think that the staff And the board and this committee has done a great job, but I want to publicly acknowledge Ben.
Thank you.
I've been coming here for almost 40 years. I've made 80% of the meetings. And the reason that they run as smooth as they do, and we still have our issues, but is because of you. And anybody who's here, and anybody who's listening, we talk about you, about what a great addition to, not to the profession, but to the oversight of the profession, that you've really done a yeoman's job. And from our association and everybody else here, I wanted to publicly acknowledge you. So give him some more money next year. Anyway, thank you very much, Ben. Great meeting. Ruben.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. I just, thank you, everyone. I just wanted to point out that I do not do this alone, and it's because of my team, and I'm really grateful to be working with the few but hardened folks that really move this forward and really remind us of our role here. We are of service to the public, and we are grateful for your appreciation. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, well, this minute is adjourned.
Thank you so much, everyone. 12:19.